let me take you guys down a trip down memory lane. The year is 2017, maybe early 2018. It feels like a century ago. But the world hadn't stopped yet, and the world also wasn't getting taken over by AI and robots. And also, the best weapon in Destiny 2 was Darcy, and that last one is by far the most shocking thing out of everything that I mentioned. Now, you gotta remember, back then, we were in the launch era of Destiny 2, the loony bin system, where we still had double primary and heavy slots in our character, rather than a kinetic or a primary, in this case, energy slot, and then a heavy slot like we have today. So back then, your heavy slot meant everything. And back in this era, basically, when bosses spawned and their health bar was actually, you know, hittable, the game just said, yeah, you can do whatever the hell you want. So, you could essentially spawn kill every single strike boss in the game, regardless of difficulty or what the level situation was. And even the only raid boss that we had in the game currently, back then, Callus, he really had no health gate at all. It was just like, hop on the plate, do whatever you can in damage, go to the next one, rinse, repeat. So Darcy in this era shined really well because it was a heavy slot sniper, snipers were fantastic, and Darcy had the toolkit of having being a fast shooting sniper and doing good damage. So it just basically dominated everything. And yeah, eventually we got Whisper the Worm, cluster bomb rockets on Riven were stupid, and then from there on rockets got more and more used, except Apex Predator, that was still trash until like 2021, 22, something like that. Anyway, I'm rambling off. The point is, at one point in the game's history, Darcy was either the best weapon in the game or at the top of the charts, right there up with the best. Then we get into the Forsaken era and things just start falling off of a cliff very slowly. First, you got the arsenals of new weapons coming in, like Whisper, which just dominated the game outright, literally everywhere because it was so incredibly busted until it got nerfed into the ground. And then weapons like Anarchy came out, which were very versatile and still did really good damage and made new DPS setups because of this. So Darcy was still there, but it didn't really have a spot in the limelight, other than, I would say, Scourge in the Past, the final boss, where Darcy actually outright beat Whisper because of how the boss mechanics worked, and Darcy basically just beat it because of speed, essentially. And that was the one place where Darcy could still hang. After that, though, yeah, it wasn't looking good. Bungie eventually decided that snipers were just too dominant and started nerfing everything. They nerfed sniper damage, they nerfed sniper ammo counts. At one point, Whisper had like 9 bullets to its name, and that was it. Whatever you could do with 9 bullets is what you got. So, naturally, Darcy also fell off a cliff with the rest of them, and stayed there for, let me check my notes. Oh, right, it's still in the dumpster in 2024. It's been like 6-7 years. Wow, and that's bad. Like, it's really bad. Remember, Darcy is an exotic heavy slot sniper, so on top of it having to be unique, it also had to stand out some way and, you know, be good. That'd be nice, right? So how do we get here? First off, the nerfs that I had mentioned. Over time, eventually, gradually, Bungie decided to, you know, lighten a little bit on the leash, you know, take off the shackles one by one. First, the ammo started coming back, then snipers started getting damage buffs, and older weapons started getting particular changes to their weapons to stand out more in the new sandbox, thanks to the 87 flavors of power creep we've been getting pretty much since Forsaken onward. So that's good, right? That's exactly what we want. We want more ammo, we want the damage to be buffed back up because snipers are just mediocre and can't compete with anything. That's the right track. So what the hell went wrong? Well, Darcy did get its full ammo back, and I think these days it sits around 25 to 32 shots total, depending on reserves and all of that. And, well, that's pretty much all that they've added back, at least for Darcy. Now, you might be thinking, wait, you said that weapons were getting changed that were on the older side to try to keep up with the power creep these days. Yeah, that's true. Do you want to know what the changes to Darcy were? Well, let's find out. The intrinsic trait, Personal Assistant, is there, I guess, aiming at an enemy to view their health and other critical information, like where Darcy's damage went. And then we have the perk on the gun, Target Acquired. When Personal Assistant is active, this weapon has better target acquisition, deals significantly more precision damage, which used to be the case for the weapon. And they added the fact that you can jolt targets with a sniper rifle, which means you have to shoot an enemy with your sniper and then reload it to get a jolt proc, and then shoot another enemy with your heavy slot sniper that you would think would be used on bosses. What? Oh, sorry, I forgot the best part. It might have even gotten removed from the weapon by the time that I'm recording this video, because nobody gave a damn. But Darcy also got incredible airborne effectiveness, so you can do Halo 2 montages while shooting dregs with your heavy sniper, too. Yeah! Alright, so I think you guys get the shtick. You get the point. Darcy did not evolve at all. Let's be honest. Giving Jolt to a sniper rifle in the heavy slot, in fact, probably giving it to any sniper rifle is awful, but giving it to a sniper in the heavy slot that should be used as strictly a damage weapon for high-value targets or bosses is just nonsensical to me. I don't know how we arrived at this being the solution to power creepify Darcy so it actually stood a chance in the new sandboxes. I mean, let's compare it to any of the decent or good snipers that have released since Forsaken, and we're not even going to mention the Boogeyman yet. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about with that weapon, but let's talk about Forsaken leading up to, let's say, Lightfall. Now, I'm not going to name every single sniper that released since then, because then I'll be here for 3 hours. I'm just going to name a certain group of them. All of these have had some sort of interaction in the game over the years, whether it's things like 4 times a charm combos with a damage perk, or 4 times in triple tap, 4 times weeble rounds, double damage perks, things like that. Alright, here we go. You have Irukanji, you have Icolo Sniper, which is so old that it used to be used in the Warmind Cell era of the game. Remember those? Remember the big orange balls that you shoot and make entire rooms explode? Good times. I don't know why they're still dead in the ground, but whatever. Moving on, you got Succession, one of the most dominant legendary snipers in the entire franchise. You got Supremacy, which to this day, once it was reissued in Last Wish as a red border, is consistently used in challenges and speedruns and DPS loadouts and all that nonsense. And there's other lesser known ones. Remember Long Shadow? That used to be considered a meta weapon. Alone as a God is another one. Frozen Orbit used to get some use by some people in the game. Trophy Hunter used to be good, but then it got sunset, and it's been so long since then that it's now getting unsunset, and then you can use it again, and it's probably going to get reissued as a red border at some point this year. And that's not even including the exotic snipers. Cloud Strike is still a very good weapon to use to this day. And of course, the behemoth that we have not mentioned yet in the exotic slot, a kinetic sniper, is Nagi's Burden, which basically dominated the entire game as a non-heavy sniper for multiple years. And the boogeyman I've been alluding to this entire time is, of course, Still Hunt. Still Hunt is not only the best sniper in the game, it is just straight up the best weapon in the game. Do you want to take a guess at what slot Still Hunt resides in? If you answered the heavy slot, congratulations, that was wrong. It's actually in the energy slot. It's a golden gun sniper, which means it synergizes with Celestial Nighthawk for hunters, and it turns into a literal Celestial Nighthawk gun. So the question here, after we know Still Hunt exists, is why the hell is Darcy still in the dumpster? Keep in mind, since 2018, we have had countless sandbox changes and tweaks and nerfs and buffs to snipers, and Darcy has remained virtually the same the entire time. So how do we have a heavy slot sniper rifle, a legacy weapon, that's been in the dirt for over half a decade at this point? Meanwhile, we're creating new weapons in the other 2 slots that are consistently good, and one of them, like I said, is dominating the entire game right now, but we can't give Darcy, like, a proper buff? We can't even give it, like, a good perk? Now, Still Hunt will eventually get nerfed into the ground. It might be a week from now, it might be a month from now, hell, it might be when Destiny 3 comes out. We don't know. The point is, even when Still Hunt gets nerfed, it'll still be 100 times better than what Darcy is right now. So it needs a significant, a substantial buff to make it at least, at the very least, as good as the middle-of-the-pack heavy weapons we currently have in-game. Preferably, you could tie it with Whisper, with some sort of buff that makes it different and unique, but still at least comparable to it in some cases. So first things first, get rid of Jolt. The Jolt is useless. The Jolt belongs in Weenie Hunt General. That's where that belongs. Darcy needs a substantial damage buff in some fashion. Or if you're going to continue to use arc verbs to categorize it that way, if you're going to make it Jolt, at least make it in a unique, meaningful way. Something that just naturally happens while you're shooting the weapon, not something where I have to go shoot an acolyte in the face, waste a bullet of my heavy sniper rifle, make sure I can reload it, and then shoot another target to jolt it, which is incredibly inconvenient for a boss damage phase, which is where this weapon should be used, in my opinion. What if you gave it the cascade point functionality, or something similar to it? Like, let's say I'm shooting my Supremacy in my top slot, and I get X amount of critical hits, precision hits, whatever it may be. And then if I do that, then it activates the Darcy perk, where I can switch to Darcy, and it shoots very fast, faster than what it currently shoots. That way, it could be a fast burst weapon for things like speedruns and such, and obviously it would also need a substantial damage buff, by the way. That's 100% needed, regardless of any of this discussion. But also, as you're shooting these bullets, let's say every 3 precision hits, you get an instant jolt on the target. Not where I have to shoot something else and kill it and reload and then jolt, but just simply, I'm shooting the boss and I hit him 3 times, I get an instant jolt proc. And if you hate my idea, that's totally fine too. I'm not saying this exact thing should be done to the weapon. I'm just trying to spitball here and make the weapon better than it is, because it honestly deserves a real, actual buff. And I'm sure the big brain heads at Bungie can come up with something great, because the devs legitimately, and I mean sincerely, they have made some fantastic perks and additions and changes to previous weapons in the game that have been terrible and forgotten and are now used to this day. So I'm sure they can come up with something substantial and good for Darcy. Anyway, I've been rambling about Darcy long enough. I just want to close this out by saying Darcy, believe it or not, is actually one of my favorite weapons in the entire franchise. This, along with Legend of Acreus, was my 2 favorite legacy exotics in the game, and weapons I used religiously. Acreus I actually can use to this day because it's actually a beast still, but Darcy, you know, once the nerfs came, it kind of fell off, and I've been waiting to try to use it ever since in anything. Just give me any reason to use it instead of doing Still Hunt Simulator for the next year, please, Bungie. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think about Darcy and what change you would apply to this weapon to make it either meta viable or at the very least the middle of the pack, so it can be used somewhere in some sort of content. If you enjoyed the video topic, please consider subscribing today. It does help the channel grow and is much appreciated. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can leave a like and or comment below as well. If you don't know what to comment, you could leave Darcy as the comment. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.